Okay, here we go. Well, very good morning to you if you're in the Caribbean or the Americas. Good afternoon if you're in Europe and the Middle East. And of course, very good evening as usual to our viewers in Asia or the Australian continents. Welcome to Crossing Borders, which is today's Crossing Borders broadcast, the IMC streaming service that we started in late March to bring and keep the investment migration industry together and informed of the developments that are taking place in a sector which is always making strides to improve and to keep up with developments on the government side, but also on the client side. If you haven't seen one of our broadcasts before, then please go to YouTube, type Investment Migration Council, and there you'll see a back catalogue of all our Crossing Borders programs available to view at your leisure. And whilst you're there, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and you will be kept informed of all the latest videos that we publish. Today's broadcast is brought to you with the support of Enterprise Greece, the investment and trade promotion agency based in Athens. So thank you very much to Enterprise Greece for supporting today's broadcast. Remember that you can ask any questions or lots of questions, make some comments to today's speakers on the topic of conversation. You can use the widget in the GoToWebinar panel, which is on the right hand of your screen. I'm told I can see that there's over 50 of you with us today, so we'll try and get through to as many of the questions that you might have and your comments. And as ever, to keep you engaged, we've got a little bit of polling, and we're going to kick off with a poll right away, and we simply want to know, where are you guys from today? So we'll give you 5 seconds to answer that, and once we reach 80%, we'll close the poll. All right, so I'm just going to close that and publish the results. So our panelists can see that 63% are from Europe and Africa, 25% from the Middle East, and 13% from the Americas. So that's always interesting for us to know, and it might guide some of the conversation today. At the end of the program, there'll be a short video about IMC education and training on how you can get through the certification in investment migration, so do please stay with us. But allow me to introduce our speakers and what they're going to be talking about today. I'm delighted to welcome Ismini Zoirou from the Investment Promotion and Trade Department at Enterprise Greece. So very good afternoon, Ismini in Athens, and you'll be talking us through the most important points of the Greek Residency program. And I'm also delighted to welcome Yanica Woods, who's a senior lawyer and head of the Malta operations for the Global Information Consulting Group, which is a Malta-based residency and citizenship planning firm. And Yanica will be talking us through the Malta Individual Investor Program and of course the Malta Residency Program as an EU offering and what some of the advantages are. And I'll be definitely interested to hear about some of the potential challenges that this program is rolling out in the next few months. And then finally, but not least, Tiago Gali de Carvalho Macedo, who's the founding partner and senior managing director of Next, Gali, Macedo and Associados, which is an important Portuguese based law firm. And Tiago, you'll be talking to us and discussing COVID-19 and what the impact on the Portuguese residency program has, and hopefully we'll also get time to talk about the challenges that lie ahead and some of the opportunities. So I want to start with Ismini from Enterprise Greece, and really some of the things that's come through on these chats is everybody wants to know how a country has been affected by COVID-19, of course, but particularly given that we are an investment migration organization, our viewers want to know how has this pandemic affected the Greek golden visa program, and how this potentially can change the mechanics of the golden visa program in Greece going forwards. So I'd appreciate some of your thoughts on this, Ismini.
Thank you, Bruno. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tiago and Yanica, and to everyone that is watching us. First of all, let's say that Enterprise Greece is the official agency of the Greek government under the auspices of the Greek Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which promotes investments in Greece, exports from Greece, and make Greece more attractive as an international business partner. Now, regarding the COVID, the Greek government acted very quickly and took early drastic action, going into full lockdown only 13 days after its first coronavirus case was confirmed. Greece was among the best performers in the world, holding down the number of the cases and deaths with the lowest spread of the virus per 100,000 inhabitants. Of course, I think as in every country, the global recession had a negative impact, also in the Greek Golden Visa program. The numbers for the first semester are approximately 400 residence permits until now. However, their interest at this time it's still strong. The last 2 months, we have received a very large number of questions about the program, and for all 3 options, which is something very good for us. Now, of course, we have to do some steps in order to adapt the processing methods in order to move forward with the applications. So during the last months, the Greek government has took measures to facilitate the golden visa application. From 18th, for example, from 18th of May and until 31st of December of 2020, the applications can be submitted not only to any one-stop service of the Aliens and Immigration Department at the decentralized authorities in Greece, but also to the Ministry of Migration and Asylum. This is one good step to fasten the procedure. Then the collection can be made by showing not only the original passport, but also a certified copy of the passport. After that, the collection of already issued golden visas and submissions of additional documents can be done via courier. If the biometric data of the golden visa, if it's necessary, they can be given at a later stage, but only if it's necessary. If someone can't come in the country, then he can give biometric data in a later stage. The Greek Ministry of Migration, Immigration and Asylum is in the process of digitalizing the whole procedure. This, of course, will take time, but it's something that it's going now.
Okay. All right. Look, we talk often about improvements, and particularly in the last 3 months, what we've all had to do, and particularly governments have had to do this, is to further digitize because it's proven very difficult for many governments to deal with the fact that people are on lockdown and they're unable to drop off physical files. So we've heard, in the past weeks, we had some guests from Caribbean governments where they've done a project of digitization, and people can actually drop-in applications completely through email or through their systems, through the internet. How has that been sort of taken on in Greece? What are the steps that have been taken by the Greek government to digitize itself?
We are in the process. First of all, the first that is now on is the electronic appointment for now. Someone can ask for an appointment electronically. But for now, this is the case, and every day we are taking steps for that in order to finish all this procedure as fast as we can.
Right, okay. All right. No, I want to come to a poll as well for the audience, which we've prepared. And this is, I'm going to launch that now. It's asking essentially, which improvements do you think, as potentially agents who are watching us, are needed for the Greek residency program? So we want to know, do you think it's a faster procedure, digitization on the submission of the application, and importantly, what comes up as well is the signing of the power of attorney in the country of origin? So let's give people a few seconds to answer that and see what they.
Bruno, can I say something about the third answer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, the third answer is because until till now, the signing of the power of attorney for purchasing a house can be done only in Greece. That is the question. So now it's difficult for someone to come in Greece in order to sign the power of attorney.
Yeah, of course. How? On that point, actually, it's very interesting because before we came on, we were talking a little bit about the reopening of travel corridors. How is Greece coping with that? Has Greece started to open itself?
Greece has started to open the borders, but not for every country. For example, until 15th of July, people from UK cannot come. After 15th of July, they will be able to come, or Chinese people. Borders are not open for everyone.
Ismini, what about people from China?
The same. For now, for people from China, the borders are closed.
Is that a blanket approach to China, or is it specific provinces in China?
You know that the Chinese people have 73% of the program, of the numbers for the program. So, of course, we want and we need the Chinese people to come here. But as of coronavirus, China, that is a high-risk country now. So we haven't opened the borders for high-risk countries.
Right, okay, fair enough. Do you want to make any comments on that? I mean, in some respects, I'm not entirely surprised by the results of the question we've asked the audience. Which are the improvements, or which is the most important improvement that the Greek residency program needs to make? And digitization on the submission of the application comes in first at 57%, with 43% for a faster procedure, and well, nobody's sort of commenting on the signing of the power of attorney in the country of origin. Digitization then, so that's the top one, isn't it? Do you want to make any comments before we move on to?
Yes, I'm a little bit surprised. Of course, the digitalization of the process is very important, but at this point, it's also important the signing of the power of attorney. So I'm a little bit surprised for the results.
Yeah, so a little bit of surprise there from Enterprise Greece. If you do have any comments or questions, dear audience members, then please use the GoToWebinar panel widgets, I beg your pardon, and get thrown those questions. And we have one question already, and I want to put this straight away to you, Ismini. And this is a question from Anna Feroldi, and she asks, is the Greek government in the process of rolling out a citizenship by investment program? If so, what's the expected timeline? Now, this one has come up regularly in the last 3 months. We've had, murmurs from, sometimes politicians, sometimes agents. Is there an official response that you can give as the government representative for Greece on the question, is Greece planning a CBI program?
We don't have such an information. At this point, these are only rumors.
Rumors, okay. Thank you very much. I'll come back to you a little bit later on, but I want to come to Yanica, and we'll stay in the Mediterranean basin before we move to the Atlantic and Tiago in Portugal. What's in your opinion, Yanica, given that Malta has 2 programs, in fact, it has the Malta visa and residency program. It's had that for a number of years. That's been built on a strong pedigree of various programs that Malta has had in the past to attract high net worth individuals and talent to its shores. And then recently introduced, I think maybe 6 years ago now, the Malta Individual Investor Program. I guess my question that comes up in conversations sometimes is, Malta is an important player on this market and is often seen as the leader, particularly in the citizenship planning programs that are available. What's happening on the ground in your country in regards to both these programs, please? What updates can you share with us?
So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Bruno. So in terms of the MRVP, the program still stands as is. So no changes affected the program as yet. So the elements still remain as they are. Obviously, from a corporate view, we've seen that following the outbreak and the impossibility to travel, there was a shift in program. So there were clients that opted for the MRVP because they could start straight away, as opposed to the IIP, whereas they need to travel for an initial biometric residency appointment. Now, in terms of the IIP, as I guess a lot of people are reading on the news, this is going to be repealed very soon, and the new law is going to be passed, whereby it will become a residency program which will allow citizenship eventually, either after a period of 12-month residency or after a period of 3-year residency, depending on what the applicant would choose. The fees will change as well, and the property fees are going to be amended as well. So what has been reported is that a purchase of property has increased from 350,000 to 700,000, and rent will go up from 16,000 per year to 18,000. Obviously, government is still discussing with stakeholders, and there's going to be more information hopefully in the coming weeks and months.
Okay, can I ask, Yanica, with regards to the changes that are starting to be communicated? I know your minister responsible for the program, Mr. I think Alex Muscat, his name is, talked to the press last week or a couple of weeks ago, and this residency issue that comes up. You say it's a residency program that leads to citizenship, which is very interesting in terms of the mechanics that are being changed with that. You've got options. Let's take the 12-month option. Do you begin the application for citizenship after 12 months of residency, or can you begin the application for citizenship as soon as you obtain your residency permit?
Well, as in given that the law hasn't yet been passed and the discussions haven't actually been finalized, it's very hard to say exactly how the process will be. However, as far as we are understanding from what has been discussed by Parliamentary Secretary Alex Muscat over the news, is that the application for citizenship will be lodged after the 12-month residency period.
Right. Okay. I threw you a bit of a curveball there. I know it's nothing is incredibly finalized. I want to hold that thought, and just want to go back to Ismini actually, because I want to talk a little bit about some stats and figures that you've put to us. Can you see the slide on the screen, Ismini? Yeah. Can you talk us through this, please?
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Since the commencement of the program, 7,825 resident permits have been issued to real estate owners. From these 7,825, 73% has been issued to Chinese citizens. And 2019 was a very good year for the program. 3,339 residence permits were issued only last year, 2019. So the program, as you can see, is going very well.
Yeah, it's amazing the numbers that come from China. I would presume that there's some pressure on government to open up the travel corridor with China right now, because there must be a bottleneck taking place in China with people that need to come into Greece and sign official papers, right?
Yes, I believe that too. We don't know that officially, but I believe that too. That Chinese people now need again to come in Greece. They want to come in Greece. We have many questions from Chinese people.
All right, okay.
About this.
I want to come to Tiago. You're based in Portugal, of course, but you're a frequent traveler. You have an office in Brussels as well. Some changes were foreseen to the Portuguese Golden Visa program, particularly Lisbon, Porto, and essentially the coastal areas were supposed to be excluded as qualifiable investment areas. Is this still going to happen in the near future? What is being planned in the future, please?
Well, first, hi Bruno, hi everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations for this event. I think it's needed to clarify mainly with COVID and what's going to happen after COVID. Well, the question, and going directly to your question, it's true, before COVID, the Portuguese government, as it was making a pressure on real estate pricing, especially in Lisbon, what they were planning to do was to take Lisbon, Porto, and some of the coastal areas. The problem is COVID came, and let's say the pressure that was underway has been highly reduced. So I think in the near future, the Portuguese government won't be able to implement it, and it wouldn't be wise to implement it. But anyhow, what we see is also Portugal has fantastic landscapes inland, in the interior. Remember, Portugal only has 100 kilometers wide, and there are beautiful from the Douro to Alentejo, and these are areas that are outstanding, and I think even for the investors, where they could have a greater upside on these areas that they could have, for instance, in Lisbon or in Porto. Porto still has more, but Lisbon, the prices were already quite high, as Portugal became one of the trendiest countries for immigration, for tax reasons, I was reading an article. I don't know if you read it from IMI. This was, let me see, from July date. And it's a fantastic article and compares an index where quality of life, Portugal, #1 in the world, talk about in the world, comparing Canada is the 11th and the USA the 44th. I'm not going to talk about Greece. There is the number because I don't want to be comparing, but with the major countries of RCBI is definitely second. Peace index, third country most secure in the world. Health system 12. Cost of living 49. Canada 68, US 74. And on the health system, Canada was the 30th and the USA 37th. On the peace index, Canada the 6th, we are the 3rd, and the USA the 121. So this is elements that I think will make the Portuguese program a success as it has been having. It's a program that since the beginning there were some criticism around it, internal criticism. Today I think people understood that is to bring help to the country, and even more as one of the first global countries to exist. It was very important for the foreigners to understand how Portuguese welcome, like Malta and Greece, of course, but how they welcome foreign people. There's no discrimination at all. The economic system is quite open. So, and the program itself, it's quite interesting. Even if they don't want to come to live in Portugal, they only need to have 7 days a year. They can have investments above 280,000 euros on real estate. So I think it has been highly competitive, and it's why during this crisis it didn't move much. But going directly to your question, I don't think that the government will change the law, and more than that, there are new elements that they permit. For instance, now signing and recognition of documents, power of attorneys and everything will be able to be done digitally. So the people don't need to come to the Portuguese embassies or consulates. They can do it on the net with the Portuguese lawyers. The digitalization of the country, it began more than 20 years ago, and now I would say it's almost one of the benchmarks around the globe.
All right. Yeah, because of course the Portuguese program has been heavily criticized, notably so by one of your own MEPs or former MEPs, Ana Gomes, and it's been embroiled in some controversy a few years ago. But some structural changes were made to the program, and more recently, further options were added also to the program. Are there very specific changes that you know are coming up for the program?
What we are expecting the program to move needs to concentrate it also on new kinds of investments, high-tech investments, startups. They will have direct residence permits. I think they want to go a little bit out of the real estate There, of course, there will be in the interior for sure, and I think still in the coastal areas. I think if it will change something, it will be only in Lisbon, limited to the Lisbon area, because
okay.
we sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say let's launch another poll for our audience on the Portuguese program, and we want to ask is, would you consider the Portuguese program as a secure option? So let's see what you think. Submit your answers as usual. We'll stop the poll when we come to 80% of the voting. Quite a lot of engagement. Again, if you have any comments or questions for our panelists, please do. I've closed that and published the responses. Comments, Tiago.
Well, it looks like I haven't been quite clear what I'm saying. No, it's normal. I think it's structural that one thing we have is Portugal normally keeps the promises, and we've been doing that and paying our debts. So as a country, so I think in terms of security, I think it's and remember, you also now can go also directly to IB2 in the US with a Portuguese passport. So there are some advantages today that with the backlog that exists in the US, that's also highly interesting. But I think it's not.
Can I just hold you on that? What did you mention about the US? Did you say EB2 visas?
Yes, Portugal has agreed with the US government that it will be automatic.
Right, so that's quite a recent development. So if you're Portuguese, you can enter the United States on an EB2 treaty visa, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that's interesting because we know that Grenada uses this this option for its, as a mechanism to attract foreign direct investors, new citizens to its citizenship program on the basis that they can then enter the United States on the E2 treaty, right?
Yes, because imagine two things. Even if you want to go to the US to make your living on the US, you come to Portugal, after 5 years, you can have your Portuguese passport. After having your Portuguese passport, you can just take the plane and ask for the IB2. This is an outstanding, and with a low cost, and you don't even need to live in Portugal, because one of the major assets of our program is that you only need to be 7 days per year or 14 in 2 years in a row. So it's a vacation, so you don't need to move and live definitely in Portugal. I think it's a fantastic country to be living, but there are people that are established elsewhere, so it has this big advantage.
Yeah, it's an interesting value proposition, given that if your ultimate aim is to live and work in the United States through the EB5 program, the backlog is, for Chinese, it's, so this, provides a quicker route, and you get European Union citizenship. I want to come back to Yanica on the basis that the MIIP is making some changes in the months ahead, and I know that all the details are not published, so I apologize if I throw you a curveball again. But what does come up time and time again, and the IMC is quite supportive of this, is diversifying the FDI sources and the distribution options available for clients. So typically, often very popular is a donation to a government, And then, also very popular is real estate. But there are gaps that need to be filled in economies, particularly post COVID-19. And what we saw in Portugal a few months back is more options being offered. Greece has done that as well. Options like investing on the secondary stock market, investing in high-tech funds, or in the case of Greece, you can invest in alternative investment funds outside of Greece. So you can invest in a fund which is managed in, let's say, in Frankfurt, as long as that fund is then investing its assets into Greek real estate, then that's completely acceptable. So there's a lot more options for investors on the table. So my question is, what do you know of the potential changes that Malta will make in offering diversified investment options?
Well, as far as we've heard, it's going to be roughly the same elements to the program. So there's going to be the property element, and there's going to be the donation, the contribution element for sure, which have been stated by the parliamentary secretary and have already basically discussed the values of how much these would be. In terms of diversification, I think one has to look at what kind of income from the program the country is looking at. And for Malta, the bond option has never been kind of too attractive, considering the stock market in Malta is quite a small one, and with each applicant, investing 150,000 worth of bonds, it already saturated a bit the market. In fact, it's very hard now to find, let's say, bonds for both IIP and MRVP from the secondary market. So for our clients, it's sometimes, it's not as easy to invest if they wish to invest in a particular bond. So it, I guess, depends on each country per se, which option in terms of investment they wish to opt for. In Malta, we've seen now, especially with the COVID, that the funds from the program have served us very well, and that government has managed to help a lot of businesses in the country through the funds that came from the IIP, those funds generated from the IIP. So it was kind of a good plan to have this national fund from the proceeds of IIP to help locals when need be. But as far as we've heard, it's going to remain, the IIP is going to remain mostly a donation element.
Okay, I want to put a poll together as well. This, a little bit targeted to Malta. I'm going to launch that now for the audience, and we'll focus a little bit on the clients as well. And we're asking is, what do you believe your target clients, assuming that most of our audience are in fact agents and not direct clients. So what do you believe your target clients will primarily look for in second residency solutions post COVID-19? So choice of 3 answers there: affordable cost, ease of application process, or the end results. So we'll put that to you, and it's coming up to 70%. And then Yanica, once I close, if you could comment on the results, I'd appreciate it. So closing that and sharing the results. Okay, so affordable cost and end results, 36% each, and ease of application process at 27%. Your comments, Yanica?
So basically, this is both all of the answers that we post here to the poll. We feel that make MRVP a very attractive program, so which kind of incorporates all 3 elements. So if you look at the cost of the program, it's a very affordable one, which is only 250,000 worth of government bonds, which can be liquidated after a 5-year period, together with a 30,000 contribution. And also a financing option exists. So here we're looking at a European residency program at a very affordable price. Apart from this, the program, the MRVP, also is easy in terms of processing, especially now that the department has, changed its processing and is processing the files in a much timely manner. And the last one, the good end result, we feel that the MRVP offers a very good end result, given that it offers a permanent residency in a European country with the option for clients to travel to the Schengen zone whenever they wish.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks very much for those comments. I want to come back to Ismini and stay a little bit on the subject of mixed investments, and Yanica talked about securities and the secondary market, particularly for bonds. Can you talk us through essentially the Greek options? I know we've got a slide for this. Can you talk us through this, please, Ismini?
Okay, the last ones, the Greek government decided to give a third option. This is the newest one. The amount for this option is at least 400,000 euros. In order for the other two options to be separately from the other two options are at 250,000 euros, and this option is more, is 400,000 euros. So someone can acquire a residence permit, investing either in a company who has its registered office or establishment in Greece and listed on the Greek stock market, either in a real estate investment company which aims to invest exclusively in Greece for the acquisition of shares in a share capital in Greece, either in a closed-end investment company or to a closed-end mutual fund, provided that these alternative investment institutions are intended to exclusively invest in company headquarters or establishment in Greece. This is a capital contribution of at least 400,000 euros. Then we have the term deposit of a minimum amount, again, of 400,000 euros at a domestic credit institution. The purchase of Greek government bonds with a minimum cost of 400,000 euro and a residual maturity of at least 3 years at the time of purchase. Via credit institution established in Greece. This institution will also be the custodian of these bonds. We have the purchase of shares, corporate bonds, and Greek government bonds, which are admitted for trading or are traded on regulated markets that are operating in Greece, and this amount is 800,000 euros at least. The purchase of units of a minimum value of 400,000 euro of a mutual fund incorporated in Greece or another country, and with scope to invest exclusively in shares, corporate bonds, and or Greek government bonds. And finally, the purchase of units or shares with a minimum purchase value of, again, 400,000 euros of an alternative investments fund established in Greece or another country of the European Union. These are the new mixed investment securities, the new option of the Golden Visa program. We believe that investors will come for these options, for this option.
Okay.
There is an interest.
Thank you. I'm conscious a little bit of the time, but I want to do a round robin and ask you all what's next for two things. First of all, is how you see the industry in the next 12 months and how you see developments in your country in the next 12 months. So we'll start with Tiago. Look into your crystal ball, please, and tell us what you think is coming around the corner. And let's hope it's not another wave of this nasty respiratory disease.
Yeah, Bruno, you need to have a little bit of a crystal ball because nobody knows what's going to happen due to this pandemic mess that we are involved in. One thing is for sure, what we've seen during the crisis is that the number of people interested in the program didn't reduce, and even more grew. The reasons was that people saw how Portugal dealt with the crisis, and they understood that the health system, the Portuguese health system, was up to the challenge to this and to other big challenges. So as an option to come and live a secure place to be, it has been considered a secure place. So in this way, I think it's going to even grow the number of applicants.
Staying on that, do you think that the health system or health systems are having a big impact on the requests, the driving force behind the requests that you are getting from potential clients? Are they asking questions about the health system?
Yes, definitely, especially from countries that their health system is inexistent or very, very poor. They are asking a lot about the health system, and they have the figures. Our system never went in critical situation. Everybody was well treated. And I think Portugal has been doing a fantastic investment during the last more than 30 years on the health system, and now it was the proof of that, private and public. So a lot to go directly to your question. Yes, a lot of people are their option on the programs is the healthcare system, and the strong it is, because remember, in Portugal the public health system is completely free, so that's also something to take into account.
Okay, all right. Yanica, is that also, please delve into your crystal ball, but is the health system now a consideration for clients that you are, advising on a daily basis?
To be honest, we didn't have such requests from our existing clients or prospective clients. What we've seen is, however, that clients are opting for those programs who do not require travel straight away. Obviously, travel was impacted, so that was one of the main concerns of clients. So we've seen clients, shifting from Maltese program to a Caribbean program where they do not need to travel immediately. That, yes, we've seen. So we think that eventually programs which do not, require immediate travel will be very attractive to clients to start off straight away. And obviously, on a general and local point of view, we know that now the citizenship program will be closed off and that a new program is going to be launched. So we look forward to see the new regulations, and hopefully it will be a program which is as attractive as the IIP was.
Do you think that new program will be capped? We know that the previous program was capped at 1,800 applicants. I don't think Malta has reached that just yet. And obviously COVID had an impact on this, most probably, as you mentioned yourself, the clients diverting to the Caribbean. Do you think the new program will have a cap on it?
Well, I guess it's hard to say, but yes, I do believe there's going to be a cap like there was with the citizenship program.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Ismini, please delve into your train of thought, your conversations that you're having with potential clients in your role at Enterprise Greece. What's the outlook for the future? What's next?
I think, first of all, I agree with Yanica. She's right that we don't have questions about the healthcare system. Everyone is waiting to come in Greece, and this is a problem right now. So I believe that when the borders again are open, that many people will come for the Golden Visa program again. They are waiting to do this. So we are positive for the future. Of course, as all of you said, we don't know what is the future right now. It's very uncertain, but we are positive. Greece and the other European, also Portugal and Malta, and Greece, it's a very safe country. European countries are safe. So for someone, example, for a Chinese citizen, they want to come here for the weather, because it's safe, because it's easy.
And all three countries are beautiful countries to visit.
Exactly.
Greece and Malta, Valletta, Portugal, with Porto, with Lisbon as well. Yeah, absolutely big tourism destinations. We've run out of time for today's broadcast. I want to thank each of today's guests for giving up their time to share their insights, their knowledge on the investment migration industry. Yanica Woods in Malta, thank you very much. Ismini Zoirou in Athens, Greece, thank you very much. Tiago, Gali, thank you very much from Portugal. I hope you, the audience at home, or perhaps you're already back in your offices and you found today's session interesting. Thank you very much for your questions. Please remember that in the widget you have information about the Investment Migration Council, and there's some information about today's supporting partner, Enterprise Greece, on their program. If you're not already a member of the IMC, please visit our website for information joining and supporting the work of our association. Lots of updates on what's happening in the industry right now and in the future. We'll be back on Wednesday, the 15th of July, same time, 2:30 Central European time, and we will be discussing a subject which is a little bit different to what we usually discuss, but I have an absolutely terrific speaker from Canada with us, Ada Alatrash, who will be discussing with us the misunderstood notion of feminism and the urgent need for a call of a collective movement to continue to help women in humanity across nations, and especially today when domestic violence is on the rise during the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. So please do join me. Ada is a very good friend of mine. I've known her for more than 5 years. She's written a book about displaced persons and migrants. She has a first-hand experience of this. She's a professor in a top Canadian university, so that really is a Crossing Borders broadcast not to be missed. Once again, thank you very much to all my guests today. Wishing you all a fantastic day ahead if you're still having your morning coffee, and a very good night if you're finishing your supper and soon going to bed. We'll leave you with a short video about how you can get trained in investment migration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Introducing the Certification in Investment Migration from the Investment Migration Council, the first structured learning product of its kind globally, designed for you. Explore the bite-sized learning pathway of each module on our custom online platform. You can track your progress as you go and learn at a pace that suits you, with an estimated 5 hours of study time per module. The Certification in Investment Migration contributes to the development of professional competencies and standards for those new to or already working in the industry. So, what are you waiting for? Visit our website to start your learning journey today.